At 12:13 a.m., my phone buzzed against the nightstand. The sound was small but sharp enough to pull me out of sleep. For a moment I lay there in the dark, trying to understand why anyone would be calling at that hour. Then I saw the name on the screen. Alina. My older daughter rarely called at night. In fact, she rarely called without warning at all. Her job didn't allow for casual communication. When she did reach out, it was usually a short message earlier in the evening. I answered immediately. Mom. Her voice sounded different, tight, controlled in a way I recognized from years of hearing her prepare for difficult conversations.
Yes.
There was a pause. Then she spoke quickly, each word deliberate. I need you to listen very carefully. Something inside my chest tightened. What's wrong? Go to the basement, she said. I sat up. Alana, what? Mom, she interrupted quietly, lock the basement door. Take your phone with you. The room felt suddenly colder. Why? Another pause. Then she said something that made the air in my lungs feel heavier. Don't tell your daughter or her husband. For a moment I couldn't speak. My younger daughter, Rachel, and her husband Daniel were asleep in the guest room upstairs. They had been staying with me for 3 months while Daniel looked for work in the area. What are you talking about? I whispered. I can't explain everything yet, Alina said. But you need to trust me. Her voice softened slightly. Please go downstairs. Now, I swung my feet onto the floor. The house was quiet. Old houses have their own language at night. The slow creak of wood settling, the faint hum of appliances. Usually those sounds are comforting. That night they felt different. Alina said gently. I'm going. I slipped into the hallway. The floorboards felt cold under my feet. The door to the guest room was closed. I could hear the faint rhythm of breathing inside. Rachel had arrived 3 months earlier, looking exhausted from the move. Daniel had seemed polite, quiet. The kind of man who helped carry groceries without being asked. Nothing about him had ever felt threatening. But Alana's voice echoed in my mind. Don't tell your daughter or her husband. I reached the basement door. It opened with a soft click. The stairs descended into darkness. I flipped on the small light at the bottom and walked down carefully, holding my phone like it was the only solid thing in the world. The basement smelled faintly of detergent and old cardboard. When I reached the bottom, I closed the door and turned the small deadbolt. The sound of the lock sliding into place felt strangely final. I sat on the lowest step and pressed the phone back to my ear. I'm downstairs. Good, Alina said. What's happening? She didn't answer immediately. Then she said quietly, stay there. No matter what you hear. A cold feeling spread through my chest. Alina, agents are already on the way. Agents. The word hung in the air between us. Why? I asked. Her voice dropped to almost a whisper. We believe someone in the house may be involved in something serious. The silence that followed felt enormous. I thought of Rachel, of Daniel, I said. But Alina didn't answer. Instead she said, Mom, I need you to stay calm. Then the line went quiet. I sat there in the dim basement light listening. At first there was nothing. Just the soft hum of the furnace. Then, a heavy crash from upstairs. I flinched. The sound came again. Metal striking wood once, twice, 3 times. A sledgehammer. Someone was hitting the front door. My heart began pounding so loudly I thought it might echo through the house. Upstairs I heard movement. Footsteps. Rachel's voice, confused, half awake. Daniel saying something I couldn't make out. Then another crash. Wood splintering. A shout! Federal agents! Stay where you are! The words echoed through the house like thunder. For a moment everything went silent. Then came the sound of multiple footsteps moving quickly across the floor. Commands. Another voice shouting for everyone to keep their hands visible. I gripped the edge of the stair railing. Part of me wanted to run upstairs. To see Rachel, to understand what was happening. But Alana's words held me in place. Stay there. Minutes passed that felt like hours. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Alina. House is secure. Stay where you are. I exhaled slowly, realizing I had been holding my breath. Eventually there was a knock on the basement door. A calm voice spoke through the wood. "Ma'am, federal agents. You can unlock the door now." My hands shook slightly as I turned the bolt. When the door opened, 2 agents stood at the top of the stairs. Behind them I could see the hallway light and the broken remains of the front door. "Are you all right?" one of them asked. I nodded. They helped me upstairs. The house looked unfamiliar. The front door hung partially off its frame. Muddy footprints marked the floor. Rachel stood in the living room wrapped in a blanket, her face pale. Daniel wasn't there. I looked at the agent beside me. "Where is he?" He hesitated for a moment. "Your daughter's husband is being taken into custody." Rachel turned toward me. "What's happening?" she asked weakly. I didn't have an answer. Hours later, after the house had quieted again, one of the agents explained what they could. Daniel had been under investigation for months. Financial crimes, encrypted communications, things far more complicated than I could fully understand. Elena had learned that the arrest warrant was being executed that night. She knew Rachel and Daniel were staying in my house, and she knew I needed to be somewhere safe before the agents arrived. Near dawn, Elena called again. Her voice sounded tired. "I'm sorry you had to go through that." I looked around the living room. The broken door. Rachel asleep on the couch. "I trusted him," I said quietly. "I know." The sun began to rise through the window, and I realized something that still unsettles me. The most frightening part of that night wasn't the sledgehammer. It was learning how easily danger can sit at your own dinner table and wait for the moment no one is looking.